guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be discussing the topic of pharmacy careers and my views on the future prospects of pharmacy as a career and what alternatives are there to a pharmacy career and why, in my opinion, the pharmacy career in itself might not be the best career choice at the moment, and the reasons for this. Basically, pharmacy in the past, in the 2000s and the early 90s, pharmacy was always a well-respected career. Even today, it is still a well-respected career, and as a degree, it holds a very strong standing comparable to medicine. In Malta and in the UK, pharmacy, you might have courses which are around 5 years of study. In Malta, the pharmacy course after 5 years gives you a Masters of Pharmacy, an M.Pharm, whilst in the UK, after 4 years of studying, you can obtain an M.Pharm. The M.Pharm is basically a professional degree. It is similar on standing to a medical degree. There's a lot of pharmacology involved in the career and the study. There's a lot of pharmacology involved in the degree itself. There's a lot of medical stuff. Pharmacists also do rotations, they see patients. We do lots of clinical work. However, when it comes to a career, pharmacy might not be the ideal choice, and why, in my opinion, other career choices are better options. When I worked as a pharmacist, as I graduated in 2013, I started to work in a community pharmacy. My job, in my opinion, did not inspire me much. I felt I was working in a shop and my primary goal was that of selling a product. Okay, most of the times patients came to the pharmacy to buy creams, to buy vitamins, to buy products that the doctor usually had to prescribe, and most of the work was conducted by the GP. So without a doctor, the pharmacy sales and the services offered by a pharmacy are very limited. This aspect of the pharmacy career made me feel very much unfulfilled in my job. It didn't make me feel that I had a certain sense of autonomy. This led me to question my role as a pharmacist and also to try and find alternative careers. Other jobs pharmacists do in Malta, which are also very common, include medical repping, whereby pharmacists go around different pharmacies and they visit healthcare professionals such as doctors and they promote medicinal products. Although it's an interesting job, you are still considered to be an employee. However, other aspects apart from pharmacy are involved in medical repping, including digital marketing of the product itself, and one must have a sense or a flair for sales in order to be a very good pharmaceutical marketing rep. The career is interesting because it helps you to meet a variety of healthcare professionals. You get to know a lot about different types of jobs. However, at that point in time, in 2013, when I just graduated, I did not have a car, so I couldn't run around the country working as a representative. I was still doing my driver's license, so at that point in time the best option was working in a community pharmacy. I had also applied for hospital pharmacy. However, the clinical work done in the hospital pharmacy, I felt it wasn't involving me much with the patient. I did not have much autonomy when it comes to prescribing of medication, and most of the work done by the pharmacist, again, is most of the times checking what the doctors write and trying to optimize medication therapy. Personally, I felt that this wasn't a job which I felt willing to do, and I opted eventually, after a year working as a community pharmacist, I opted to go back to medical school. My shift into medical school made me look at pharmacy from a different point of view. I could look at the pharmacist role and the pharmacist job objectively and from a different point of view from when I was myself a pharmacist. Currently, as the current situation is always moving towards digitalization, especially now with the current pandemic, we are moving more towards a digital type of work environment where most of the jobs are going online. The role of a pharmacist and also the amount of work pharmacists had seems to have declined slightly, and more jobs, both in Malta and in the UK, are shifting towards software jobs such as software developers, AI developers, machine learning and cybersecurity. These jobs are on the rise. if we look at normal job hunting sites such as, for example, Indeed.com, Monster.com or LinkedIn, most of the jobs which are available and which are in demand are most of the times related to software. Software such as, for example, software developers, mostly related to iGaming, because in Malta iGaming is a big player in the economy. Maltese economy is mostly based on these gambling companies, and of course, being companies that work mostly online, digital companies, they require the services of software developers. Now, I'm not saying that everyone out there should go and get a degree in software development or that everyone should get a degree in AI. However, as the job market and the market fluctuates like anything else in life, the demand and the supply is always changing. At the moment, I feel that the demand of pharmacists is not that high, and the demand of software developers or people working in software and people who develop software or data scientists, for example, as well, is always on the increase. Why I wouldn't recommend doing pharmacy is that pharmacy, as I said, is a very traditional type of profession. It's a profession that deals mostly with the client. It is a client-facing profession, and therefore you must be on location or on site to do your job. This might create problems to people who might not like to do a routine job. Therefore, pharmacy in itself is not a bad job, it's not a bad profession. Actually, pharmacists are frontliners. They are the ones also undergoing massive amounts of patient education regarding medications. They are the ones also to check and to prevent medication errors. However, if you're the type of person who doesn't like to do the same job day in, day out, 8 to 2 or 8 to 7, day in, day out, I don't think that pharmacy is the right type of job for you as a personality. Why is this so? Basically, pharmacists tend to work usually in a pharmacy. They are employed, they have little autonomy, and most of the job involves running of the premises of the pharmacy, taking stock of the sales, ordering products, and liaising with importers and distributors. Whilst looking at pharmacy from the point of a doctor, I think that pharmacists should be given a greater amount of autonomy. Pharmacists should be allowed to have a greater amount of freedom when it comes to prescribing minor medications. For example, small medications which can be given over the counter should be allowed to be given mostly by a pharmacist. And in my opinion, the pharmacists should have greater autonomy when it comes to working in hospital. Pharmacists, for example, in the US, have greater autonomy because they can do more clinical work, they have their own ward rounds, and they liaise with doctors more or less at the same level. However, in Malta and in the UK, this process might be a bit backwards, where pharmacists are still regarded as a profession which works by themselves. Doctors, on the other hand, tend to do most of the work when it comes to the patient and to the clinical stuff. The doctor usually does most of the paperwork related to the patient. Most of the dispensing of the medication is done by the pharmacist. However, the doctor's job is more or less taking care of the patient holistically from the time he examines the patient till the time he prescribes the medication and he discharges that patient. The pharmacist's role, in my opinion, is still very limited to just the dispensing of the medication and just to the provision of instructions to that patient. That's where it all ends. However, sometimes you might have the community pharmacies whereby they have a database and they do have some form of patient consultations. Again, this probably is more common in the United Kingdom than in Malta. My opinion regarding pharmacy as a job, again, personally, I did not feel that pharmacy gave me enough autonomy to continue pursuing it as a career. I felt that medicine might have helped me more with myself being more autonomous in my decision-making process and in my job. And with regards to the future aspects of both careers, both medicine and pharmacy, I think that as with all other careers, we are moving more towards a digital type of platform to work on. I think that pharmacy and medicine should also in future move towards these careers because unfortunately enough, these jobs are still lacking and they are still very traditional in the way they are practiced. My final conclusions with regards to pharmacy: I think that going from pharmacy to going into medicine and seeing pharmacy from a different perspective, I think that in future pharmacy is going to become more automated, and I also think that this will also happen in medicine, and medicine is not safe from the automation process. Most of the things will start involving artificial intelligence and AI, which is also a positive thing because AI, in my opinion, is more accurate than sometimes a human in analyzing certain data, and various areas of pharmacy in future might open up, which might require more online consultations with patients. The pharmacist might have a greater role when it comes to dealing with the patient-centered type of care, and less with the dispensing and less with the medication monitoring, which can also be done with a computer software in future. And in my opinion, everything in pharmacy seems to be going towards automation and digitalization. My advice for people who have an interest in doing pharmacy in the future is that try and choose pharmacy if you are a person who doesn't have a want or a need to be autonomous, and if you are a person that day in day out type of lifestyle, a daily routine type of lifestyle doesn't bother you, then pharmacy might be a good fit for you. Pharmacy, as of yet, is still a very forefront profession, it's still a very useful profession, it has a great impact, and without pharmacists, certain medications cannot be purchased or certain medications cannot be imported, and pharmacists especially have a very important regulatory role. Therefore, pharmacy, I think, is a very important profession to the healthcare system. However, in my opinion, there are other jobs which might be taking over in the future, and I think that moving towards a more digital style of working might have a better future prospect compared to just traditional types of work. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening out. I'll make another video relating to my opinions also on the medical field, related to future digitalization of the medical field, and in my opinion, why and what future prospects are available to doctors and how the future digitalization might impact the clinical work of doctors as well. Thank you very much, subscribe, and hope to see you next time. Ciao.